Hello, Bambaji here, and we are looking at a gate transit, a sun gate transit. Today, we are looking at gate 60. This is the gate of limitation, the gate of acceptance. And you can see from the graphic here that it is a root center gate. We know that we're doing a lot of root centers gates right now. There's a lot of physical pressure, and we just had the mental pressure of gate 61, of course, but we're back into the root pressure now. So that's the little brown square at the bottom there of the body graph. And the grounding or the polarity in the wheel is the gate 56, which is a throat gate. You can see that there as well. So we have those two brown squares lit up, the 60 and the 56. So what can I tell you about gate 60? It's an important gate. It's a really, really important gate. That's the main thing. It's called limitation. It's also the gate of acceptance. It's an individual gate and it's in the root center. The polarity, as we just saw, is gate 56, which is a throat center gate, and it's a collective abstract gate, and it has the voice that says, I believe. It's the gate of the wanderer, it's the storyteller. And this is the earth, the grounding to our limitation and acceptance. The 60th gate is really notable because it is the last gate in the sun's cycle. This is the pulsing pressure to mutate. And what we are mutating to is a new cycle. Our next gate is going to be gate 41. This is the start codon. This is the beginning of the human experiential way. And so this is, it's an important gate here. So the harmonic to gate 60 is the third gate. It is in the sacral center and it is called difficulty at the beginning. Together they form the channel of mutation. It's an energy that fluctuates and initiates. And of course, this is a channel which is the format energy of the individual process. This is the root, if you like, the root of the pulse of individual mutation. The headline above the lines in the Rave I Ching says the acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. And the 60th gate always brings us back to the deepest truth about the nature of honoring our inner authority and our design. You know, what we are as a genetic form, which is a mechanical limitation. And yet within the confines of that mechanical limitation, if we fulfill that limitation, if we operate absolutely correctly within the nature of that limitation, we transcend it. We can literally transcend it. Not so much that we go beyond the mechanical limit, but in being able to penetrate into the mystery of the process itself. The acceptance and the surrender to the limitation of the form is the beginning of the process of opening up the spirit and the light to the personality. This gate is deeply profound. So gate 60, as we saw, it sits in the root center. It's right in the middle of the root center there, and it's, you know, right down at the bottom of the body graph, pointing all the way up through that central mutative individual channel, taking it all the way from that 60 right up to the 61 in the head center, which is where we were last time in our last transit. Its neighbor in the wheel, the 61st gate, the gate of inner truth and mystery. And they are opposites in many ways. You know, both are pressure gates. The 61 is the pressure to know, and it's a mental pressure. We explored that, you know, last time. And the 60 is the physical pressure coming from the root, which is a very deeply physical center. And it is the pressure to accept limitation until mutation takes place. This is the ultimate magic at the mundane level of transcendence. Everything has to be limited and accepted until that pulse moment of mutation. And this is at the very core of the uncertainty that exists in all individuality. There is no knowing until you know. There's no gradual build-up to knowing. It's not there, it's not there. Oh, it's there. Oh, and it's not there, and it's not there. This is the very nature of the limitation itself. As long as it's not there, we have to deal with the limitation of the environment as it is. All we can do is accept it. We cannot sit and wait for mutation because it may never come. And so we accept it and enjoy the serendipity of those moments in which mutation does take hold, when it does take place. The first line of the 60th gate, the line that tells us what this hexagram is all about, is a line called acceptance. Now, it's the ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted by external limitations, or a restless energy when confronted with external limitations. In the end, there is nothing but external limitations. And even when mutation arises, what arises is a new limitation that will be waiting for another potential mutation, leading to more limitation and potential mutation, and on it goes, on it goes. It's kind of ironic in a way when you look at it like this. There is always going to be limitation. And in the end, that means that there is only one thing to be done. Not that there's any doing, but you know what I mean. And that is acceptance and surrender. And they're nice concepts, which actually don't give us any hints in themselves as to how to do it. Except, of course, that this is the magic of human design, because we have our inner authority. We honor our inner authority, we follow our strategy, and this is the path to surrender and acceptance of the limitation. And in doing so, we begin to align our form to its correctness. Everything about the 60th gate is the recognition that in the acceptance of the limitation of our form lies our perfection. There are those of us who have the 60th gate in an undefined root center. The undefined root center is deeply impatient, always wanting to get rid of the pressure the moment that that pressure is applied. And so it is exceedingly difficult for this 60th gate in an open root center to deal with limitations. There's an impatience to get the limitation part over with and move on to the mutation bit. Let's jump into something new. You just got to keep on honoring our inner authority. Gate 60 is the gate of limitation itself. This gate is the pulsing pressure to mutate. In terms of the collective, the knowing circuit is the experiential field where mutation can develop that may or may not be of benefit to the whole. This possibility of mutation is grounded in the release of limited amounts of energy. This limitation, this pulse, it manifests as power bursts rather than as a sustained flow. Knowing is there, and then it's not. The mystery of music, as Miles Davis, the jazz composer, noted, is the space between the notes. It's in the space that mutation takes place. Acceptance of mutation is at the heart of this process. Otherwise, this energy can manifest as chronic depression. The 60th gate, the gate of limitation, the gate of acceptance. Okay, it's something to aspire to at least, if we all wish together, children. We have a format energy here, and the format gates, they are always dealing with depression as a possibility. Together with the 56, the 3 and the 50, the 60th gate is part of the right angle cross of laws. Mutation is one of the 4 laws. Limitation is so beautiful. We are all limited. We all have a genetic limitation, and there's nothing we can do about that. The acceptance of that is transcendence, and it's as simple as that, although simple and easy are not the same thing. The harmonic to the 60th gate is the 3rd gate, and the 3rd gate is another incredible gate. They are all incredible in their way, but there's something, this channel is such an important channel to our overall mechanic and to our evolution in the world as a species. Anyone who has the 60th hexagram has a deep connection to the whole mutative process that exists through the third gate. Now, it's that former energy that generates the whole mutative field, the channel of mutation. It just tells you how important it is to embrace mutation. And although we've talked before about the word mutation and how we can swap it for change or transformation, truly it doesn't really swap out. Because to change something means that you're changing something that already exists. To transform is to transform something that is already there. Mutation is something new that is coming in. So I invite you to get comfortable with the word mutation, because it doesn't have to mean something bad. I know in our society it does tend to mean something like that because it's very much hooked into the medical profession, but it doesn't have to be that way. Some of the greatest mutations we've had have been amazing discoveries in the world. Look at the mutation of our larynx. When our larynx dropped, it brought us language. It meant we could speak. It enlarged our brain in order for us to hold memories. This is a mutation that's been really successful. So maybe a reframe around it is something that I could invite you into as we move forward into this new cycle. Maybe you could take this as a new way of looking at this word. So the third gate is probably the most mutative gate because it orders what will become new. It is the gate of ordering. It's also called difficulty at the beginning, but it's like a pool of material, all of which has mutative potential. And in all of that mutative potential, we can find the root of the individual process, the whole history of the individual process. It goes all the way back. In the mystical sense, the third gate always represents what is new, and the 60th gate represents what is old. The limitation is what has always been up to this pulse. If it could speak, its mantra would be, this is what has always been. This is what has always been. Up until this moment, this pulsating moment. When the pulse comes back through the three, something new may emerge out of what was the limitation. The 60 carries within it a very special value. And since March 2021, Pluto has been in and out of gate 60 for a total of nearly 3 years, which tells us that the possibility for mutation is in the genetic pool. It's been activated. Every time there is an activation in the third gate and the channel is defined, mutation is possible. The 60th gate is the gate of acceptance, and this is so important to understand. Every single one of the gates that come out of the root center toward the sacral is a format gate, a gate of potential depression. And the 60th gate, it plays out as, this is the way it's always been. This may be the way it will always be. And yet it's still always looking for the mutation, even though it cannot have any influence on when that mutation comes, when that pulse of energy comes. But it is still always looking for something new because it holds that potential. The energy is the pulse. It's the pressure to mutate. It's saying, I am tired of the old. I am tired of this limitation. I want to transcend the mutation. I want to bring out something new. It is always sitting there waiting. Unless the limitation is accepted, transcendence is never possible. All individuality, every individual gate that you have, is melancholic by nature. Melancholy is happy and sad, but it's not emotional exactly. This is kind of an important thing to notice. It can be emotional when it's coming out of the 1222 or the 3955, because they go through the solar plexus, which is the emotional center. But it's only then that they're emotional. Otherwise, it's more of a mechanical moodiness. Chemical moodiness. It's a happy and sadness that is a depressiveness potential in all of individuality. because it's all subject to melancholy. And it becomes more and more intense when individuals feel limited. The only way to transcend the limitation is through mutation. So all individuals have to accept limitation as the beginning of their transcendence process. Otherwise, they can never transcend. They have to accept the limitation of being individual. There are many ways in which energy is expressed through the mechanic of human design, and one of these ways is the incarnation cross. When we look at transits, we don't look at the complete cross because the transit is happening now. So we only look at the personality Sun Earth and the energies defined by those two gates. We don't go into the design side. Scientists have estimated that 70% of the neutrinos that pass through the Earth come from our Sun. The remainder come from Jupiter or the stars in deep space. 70% of all the neutrino information that we receive is seen in the positions of our Sun at both design and personality level. Our personality Sun is the window through which the very light of who we are shines out on the world. And the Earth represents our grounding and stability. The energy of the Sun has to be translated by the Earth. In other words, the neutrino stream is grounded through our bodies. The Sun-Earth relationship is thus the relationship between energy and matter. And just as plants convert sunlight into chlorophyll, so we humans ground the solar energies through our lives. The more grounded we are, the clearer our light will shine. The Earth is also about finding balance, so we maintain our balance and we get through. The grounding for the 60th gate comes through the throat gate 56, the wanderer, the gate of stimulation. This is stability through movement, the perpetuation of continuity through the linking of short-term activity. Gate 56 transforms abstract ideas into language through an expression that is not factual, but experiential. An idea is not a solution, but it is part of a seeker's journey. Genetically, the 56 is a stop codon. It's a punctuation point at the end of the sentence. Once an idea has been expressed verbally, that is the end of the process. For mutation to take hold, it must be expressed. We learned this in the last transit, and we have some similarities here again between the 61 and the 60 when we look at their Earth. The 61 was grounded through that logical throat gate 62, the voice of I think, and the gate of detail. Gate 60 is grounded through the abstract throat gate of 56, which is parallel and opposite to the 62, and it is the voice of I believe. It's also interesting, really, that the stop codon should be here in this configuration, as gate 60 is the last gate before the Rave New Year, when the Sun transits into gate 41, which is our one and only start codon, the beginning of the human experiential way. So there's quite a lot going on here in this transit, and yeah, we'll explore it as we go through the gates. I hope you will join me for those. Until then, I hope you are enjoying this season, this time as we go into our new year, our Rave New Year, as far as human design is concerned. Of course, a lot of the world celebrated it, 3 weeks ago now. So it's been a time for us of reflection, a time of introspection, and we're just reaching that point now where we're accepting the limitation, where we are preparing ourselves for the new, for the mutation. So let's see how it all works out. And until we move into gate 41, unless you're going to join me for line 1, which I do hope you will, and I'll be posting that shortly. But until then, take care. And as always, go chat.